Hello my dear students, good morning class 6. So today we will be discussing the remaining lesson of Ashoka. Okay. So now we will see how Ashoka was a unique ruler. Okay. So the most famous Mauryan ruler was Ashoka. Ashoka was the most famous ruler from the Mauryan Empire. Okay, so he was the first ruler who tried to take his message to people. How he has given his message to people? Through inscriptions. Okay, so most of Ashoka's inscriptions were in Prakrit and were written in the Brahmi script. Okay, Prakrit means the most spoken by people. Which language was mostly spoken by people, which was Prakrit. So he wrote, he gave his message through his inscriptions. Okay, and that was in Prakrit language. And also his inscriptions were written in the Brahmi script. Now we will see how Ashoka's performance in the war in Kalinga. Okay, so see my dear students, Kalinga. Kalinga is the ancient name of coastal Orissa. You can see map number 5 on page number 76. You will find out there. So Ashoka fought a war to conquer Kalinga. Okay, so why Ashoka fought the war? To conquer Kalinga, to make victory upon Kalinga. So however, he was so horrified when he saw the violence and bloodshed that he decided not to fight any more wars. He is the only king in the history of the world who gave up conquest after winning a war. Now see my dear students, the Mauryan Empire was its peak when Ashoka became the emperor. Okay, so but what happened? But Kalinga was the only kingdom which was not under the Mauryan control. So Kalinga was an independent kingdom which had a flourished trade. It was very prosperous. Ashoka fought a war to conquer Kalinga. Okay, now see here, it is given here that what was Ashoka's Dhamma. Okay, so see my dear students, Ashoka's Dhamma did not involve worship of a god. Okay, worship means puja. Okay, so worship of God or performance of a sacrifice. He felt that just as a father tries to teach his children, he had a duty to instruct his subjects. He was also inspired by the teachings of Buddha. So that we will see in chapter number 7. Okay, so there were a number of problems that troubled him. People in the empire followed different religions, and it sometimes led to conflicts. Animals were sacrificed, slaves and servants were ill-treated. Besides, there were quarrels in families and amongst neighbors. Ashoka felt it was his duty to solve these problems, so he appointed officials known as Dhamma Mahatma, who went from place to place teaching people about Dhamma. Beside, Ashoka got his messages inscribed on the rocks and pillars, instructing his officials to read his message to those who could not read it themselves. Now see my dear students, here the word Dhamma. Dhamma is equivalent to the Sanskrit word Dharma. Okay, so Dhamma is a Pali word which means religious duty. Okay, so Ashoka's Dhamma did not involve worship of a god or performance of a sacrifice. He felt that he is an emperor, so he must instruct his subjects like a father who tries to teach his children a moral code. जैसे पिताजी अपने बच्चों को शिक्षा देते हैं, उस तरह. It was inspired by the teaching of the Buddha. Ashoka appointed officials who were known as a Dhamma Mahatma. They went from place to place teaching people about Dhamma. So through Dhamma, what Ashoka did? So, Ashoka wanted to instill the spirit of tolerance, non-violence, coexistence, and respect for elders in the people. What he asked his people to follow the path of ahimsa, speak the truth, respect other religions, obey the elders, practice charity towards the poor, be kind to all, including servants and slaves, and live together peacefully. Now see, Ashoka also sent his messengers to spread ideas about Dhamma to other lands such as Syria, Egypt, Greece and Sri Lanka. Okay, so he built roads, dug wells and built rest houses. Besides, he arranged for medical treatment for both human beings and animals. Okay, so Ashoka issued many rock edicts as well as pillars edicts on which he graved the principles of Dhamma. So whatever reforms he carried out and moral principles he encouraged. He engraved them on 14 rock edicts and 7 pillars edicts. The script of most of the edicts is Brahmi and is written in Prakrit language as we saw. So most of the edicts were put in the public places, in markets or temples where a large number of citizens gathered. Hope you have understood this lesson. Read the lesson carefully twice, my dear students, and the question and answers we will see in the next.